If you enjoyed the episode, there are a couple of different ways to support our show. Leaving a review, following us on Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube, or even becoming a supporter on Patreon for $2 or $5 a month. There, you'll have access to never-before-released visual episodes, funny bloopers, polls, and you can even pose a question. The links can be found in the description. The easiest way to support us is by telling a friend. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back. Today, my name is Mr. Nobody. As always, I have the unperceived Tyler with me.
Unperceived.
We have Joe. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, I write fantasy adventure novels. So if you are a fan of Dungeons and Dragons or Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones or The Witcher, that's the genre in which I write. The first two books in the series, The Last Keeper and Voradin's Lair, are Amazon bestsellers. The third book, Trillius Gambit, came out last year and should soon be an Amazon bestseller. And I'm hoping the whole set is by the time we're done. So, it's a mix of epic fantasy and dark fantasy. So the good guys don't always win, and it's a lot of fun with that as an author. So I like to say it's like Tolkien with a little Dracula spin in it. So it's
okay. I like that.
It's a little different than what you normally see.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
I might have to check it out.
Might, I'm on your show. You're checking it out.
Oh gosh.
Like, I don't know what that means.
You caught me. I definitely said Mike. I'm not taking it back, but
Wait, please, you don't know this, but he does not read. He likes to go outside. We've had this conversation before.
Wait, there's a solution to that. There's this thing called audiobooks. And I have audiobooks too, and you can pop them in your ears and listen to them on your way to class. You can listen to them on your way to work. You can listen to them on the bus. You can listen to them when you're doing laundry. And it's cheating. You're not actually reading, but you're getting the whole thing read to you, oftentimes by a really cool voice like my voiceover actor. So if you're not a reader, you could be a listener and still, quote unquote, read my novels. So I'll hook you up afterwards. I'll send you them.
I like it. See, I just need the free hookup. That's what I was waiting for. But
of course.
Audiobooks changing your life.
On to the main question. This is a question that we kind of all came up together. We were also supposed to dress up for it, but I don't think anyone followed that. To maybe me a little bit, but
I blew it. It's on me. I totally.
The vibes are all ruined. It's fine though.
It's okay. I put on my handy dandy.
Oh my gosh. All I have is I have a little Deadpool, and I have some Deadpool pajama pants on. And it's Bob Ross. Okay, I'm done.
Bob Ross Deadpool.
And then
I've got a virtual reality screen.
That's true.
I was gonna say that is your screen of your book. So I think it all counts. We all, made quarter. So
show and tell was a little lackluster, but we'll get it right next time.
We'll say it's C+, C-. One of the three of us did something, and it wasn't me.
But Joe, do you remember the question?
Yeah, you want to know what the nerdiest thing I've ever done was?
Yes.
Yeah. So here goes. I am a nerd to begin with. To write fantasy adventure novels, you're basically a nerd. And I play Dungeons and Dragons. I do nerdy things. And when you think you're a nerd and you show up at a Comic-Con or a GalaxyCon or a DragonCon, then you get to see what real nerds are. And I got nerded. I was out nerded walking in the door, right? Like I was like, I'll make this work. I'm totally fine. And, I would say that a good portion, maybe 30 or 35% of the attendees there all come in cosplay. They're either live action role players or they're, furries, or they are just there for the cosplay of it all. And there are costume contests that go along with that, right? And they act themselves out. They some people pay thousands of dollars to get their costumes made and things like that. And then you hear the debates on the floor. Is Star Trek better than Star Wars? Or, do you like the reboot of a certain show over another show? And you finally, as someone who I thought was a pretty deep nerd, you find out, no, I'm really kind of shallow. And the thing that got me was I was judging a couple of contests at GalaxyCon in Raleigh. At night, the show goes on. Most folks think that the con goes and everybody and the booth shut down and the stars stop showing up and signing autographs and everybody goes home. That doesn't happen. The convention center stays open until 2 a.m. and there are after parties and entire nerd outs everywhere, right? Well, I, as one of the authors that didn't make the A list, in order for me to be speaking at the C and D list, you have to do stuff. And some of the things you do, or you go and you give speeches and you teach people how to write and you answer questions, all this other stuff. And I had a couple of classes over the course of the weekend, but the class that takes the cake, the class that is the nerdiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life, was called Drunk Disney. And Drunk Disney.
That sounds so fun. I'm not even gonna lie, but continue.
Well, it's kind of fun until you do it, right? The fun part is the drinking part, and so you get nerds that show up. It's 10 o'clock at night to midnight, and some nerds don't need a lot to get drunk, right? So everybody gets 2 drink tickets, and by then you get a tuned up audience for better or worse, right? They're just not the institutional drunks that you're going to find at the sports bars or at the tailgates or other places, right? You know what I'm saying? So you get these nerds who are there to have fun, and then they're drinking. And so Drunk Disney is where you come in and people start to debate certain things about Disney. And somehow this broke into a panel that was like a 11th grade debate club. And I somehow, as one of the guest authors, got stuck on the panel to judge the debates during Drunk Disney. And it wasn't the simple Disney. It wasn't, Daffy Duck or Donald Duck versus Mickey Mouse. Oh, no. It went deeper. And it went deeper. And the nerds came prepared. Not only were they drunk, but they were prepared to debate their topics. And the one topic that was my favorite, and perhaps the nerdiest of all, was who would win in a war, the Smurfs or the Care Bears? Right.
Oh my gosh.
And they literally broke into these debate teams, huddled like they were on Family Feud, and then came out to blast one another. And they were serious about it. And of course, the Smurfs are like, well, there's thousands of us, so we're going to overrun you. And that was their argument. And the Care Bear team, this one nerd stepped out among them all, and he was shrewd. He's like, but yes, there are more Smurfs than there are Care Bears. However, we have a wish bear. And the wish bear can make a wish, and all the Smurfs shall die. We win. And then he drops the mic. And they start yelling back and forth at each other. And I'm supposed to judge that. Right? And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, one, I'm here to sell books, right? I'm here, and the minute I choose the Smurfs, I alienate the Care Bears. The minute I choose the Care Bears, I alienate the Smurfs. So I let them go, and it petered out. Like they yelled at each other, and then they went back to drinking and forgot that and I didn't have to judge anything. They kind of judged for themselves that it was a stalemate, and the Smurfs overran the Care Bears.
The nerd Smurfs.
Yeah. But what makes this the nerdiest thing of all time is not the debate itself. It was the fact that most of these people traveled, spent money on planes, trains, and automobiles, spent money on the Ubers to get back and forth, spent $70 to buy their weekend passes, spent the extra VIP stuff to come to Drunk Disney to get 2 free drink tickets, to spend their evening after midnight with me arguing Care Bears versus Smurfs. If anybody comes on this show and tells you they can tell you there was something nerdier than that, I want to hear it, because I don't know. And I've seen a lot of nerdy stuff in my days as an author. That took the cake. And I know I'm going to end up on a panel like that in July when I'm back there. And my guess is it's going to be something worse. And then it wasn't an easy one. It wasn't like, Spider-Man versus Batman, or Wolverine versus Deadpool. It wasn't any of that. Care Bears versus Smurfs. So that's one that I'll never forget. In a way, it kind of touched my heart. And the other way, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what am I doing here? It's midnight. I got to get up and sell books at 8 o'clock. I'm going to go home. I was sitting here drinking with nerds debating this. And at that point, I realized I am not as much of a nerd as I thought I was.
That is
wow.
Never.
So, okay. I have a question now. Are Care Bears even Disney? Like, how do you get to that?
It got out of control. That's what happens when nerds drink. It gets out of control. It wasn't even Disney anymore. It went from, it literally went from, the Disney debate to a free for all, and I felt like I was in a WWE Royal Rumble match, and it was like people just started throwing stuff together and saying, "What are the weirdest stuff that we can ling and log together, and let's debate it." And then they all got in the corner and started whispering in each other's ears, "This is how we're going to win. This is how we're going to win." And somehow the teams got divided, and it was that. And I don't think either one of those franchises are Disney.
I don't
but
think
I ended up. It was part of Drunk Disney. So
Mm-mm.
It is what it is.
I just know, hearing that story, my immediate thought was, I think the Smurfs got it. I think the Smurfs got it only because they did what the wizard Gilgamesh.
Is that what his name is?
It was,
oh Lord, we're about to upset somebody.
I want to say Garfunkel. That was wrong. Gilgamesh was he's an Indian giant that would beat people with it. So it's not Gilgamesh, but it's something like that. And he had a cat that I can't remember either.
Yeah,
but you see what I mean? I'm not nearly as nerdy.
Yeah, no, I don't know, but I'm like, they deal with magic all the time. They shouldn't be able to take on a Care Bear cycle.
I don't know. I feel like they would all just hang out. Like I'm trying to figure out why would they even be fighting each other instead of like, I don't know, getting along, just sharing
questions
hugs.
you shouldn't ask, Tyler. Never ask that question ever again in public, especially at a Drunk Disney event in Raleigh. They'll come find you.
Gosh.
They will. Oh, yes, they will. They will hunt you down.
My goodness.
I'll even give you a free ticket. You can come and listen. You can sit in the back and you'll see. And I'll be sitting up front. And when they're fighting, I'll be like, I told you. I told you.
I need to be there for scientific research.
Clearly, for posterity's sake, right? You've got to be there.
Exactly.
I'm here for the alcohol.
If you guys can out nerd that, I'm listening. I'm all ears.
I'm unclear on if I will do that. I have my story though.
Wait a minute. You have a Bob Ross Deadpool sitting on your desk. So you're not far afield. Don't think you're above the fray here.
Now, hold on, friend.
Just for the record, I'm not saying. I'm just saying. There's a Bob Ross Deadpool on your desk in pajamas.
There are other Deadpools also, but I'm not going to show them just because there's a big box of them. Anyways, but my nerdiest thing is not that. So one time when I was in undergrad, we were outside of our cafeteria and this guy was like on a post. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but like, it was kind of like just a little column, like little small column. It was barely far off the ground, but he's kind of sitting on it. Like how you would imagine like Spider-Man perched on a, like on a ledge. Like that's how he's sitting on it. And so I'm like
the Spider-Man pose, like the arm out and everything.
It wasn't the arm out. Like he had his, like, I don't know how, I can't remember. I think his hands were on his knees and then he was crouched and it was just on like the balls of his feet. So you could tell that this man was nerdy, but I couldn't figure out why he was doing that until he literally shoots off this post and runs up the side of the wall and then scurries off into the distance. And I promise y'all, this is not a joke. That literally happened. The broad daylight and all the rest, like me and other people around us are like, did you see that? I also watched that. And it was kind of like cool, but also why? Like, why are we doing this? What was the point?
Did you say he scurried up the wall like a cartoon?
He like ran, like I'm telling you, he blasted himself off basically, like shot off his legs on like towards this wall, like ran up the side of the wall and then just left. So I personally think what it was is that he was planning that for like most of the day. He was trying to figure out how to like get himself enough momentum to go up the wall and like live out in like a dream or something. It really had to be that.
And it wasn't a parkour guy?
I don't know. I've never seen that man. I've never seen him jump off of anything. I genuinely think he was like trying to, I don't know. Like, I really don't know to this day. That's not the strangest interaction I've had on that campus, but it was up there. But I counted as nerdy because of the stance before it happened.
Yeah,
that's how I knew.
It doesn't beat Smurfs for V. Oh, by the way, it's Gargamel is the name of the villain, and Azrael was his cat. Just for the record.
Oh yeah,
cool.
So get your nerd villains straight.
Look, I just know I was close, and this is a game of course for me. So
Gilgamesh was pretty close. It's better than like Garfunkel.
Oh my gosh, that's pretty
close. Something like that. What the hell?
That's close for him in general, though. Like he's really bad with pop culture references. So I'm glad that he got that close.
Oh, that is right. I am.
You see, you forgot because you did so good that time. He's like shocking himself right here.
Yeah. Back to your story about the guy jumping on the wall. There is a villain known as Spring Heel Jack that was around the time of like Victorian London, like Jack the Ripper, London time, late 1800s. That was known. He was called Spring Heel because he was able to jump over walls and buildings and escape the police. And he was a burglar or whatever he was. And so, it just so happened to be he became his own little urban legend, and that's the closest thing. Whenever I think of things like you just described, I think of Spring Heel Jack.
Oh wow!
Is that where we get nursery rhyme? Jack jumped over the candlestick. Is that where that comes from?
I don't know. You'll have to Google that one. Hit the Google machine. But yes, look for Spring Heel Jack. It's an interesting story nonetheless.
Spring Heel Jack. But as of right now, I'm gonna make those two things connected like that. Yeah, he was so famous that they made a nursery rhyme out of it.
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm gonna coin it right here. Even if don't tell us we're wrong, listeners. We're right.
But
this thing's so far off the rails, it's ridiculous, but that's okay.
Yes. I got two nerdy things that I've witnessed, and it is far below Joe's story, like far
yeah,
below.
Joe's blowing us out of the water here. But when I get to that con, I think I'll have more like really good story. Yeah, I think I'm going to seek out the nerdiest of people and see what they do.
No. Yes. But the first one that came to my mind is my brother, right? And before I say this, it's not
he's
really
Mr. Somebody.
that.
You're Mr. Nobody. He's Mr. Somebody.
Ooh. See, that's his name now.
You have an author on. I'm good with words.
I'm nobody. I will be somebody, and then anybody. Those are my two other brothers, right? But I consider this the nerdiest thing that I've seen is because when he was like 9, no, how old was he now? Yeah, 9, 10, 11, somewhere in that range. He would make his own games, and me being the athletic one out of my brothers, and my other brother being the musical one, he was just the digital one. So I'm like that doesn't really count, really, but in comparison to what I've done, I guess that's like the nerdiest thing that I know. But I'm like, I think it's really cool how he's not even 13 making his own games. And then the other one that I can think of off the top of my head, again, so far below your level from your
nerddom, geekhood.
Yes, but it's just I also have some friends who love D&D. Not to the point where they dressed up, to my knowledge, but they really like it, and that's just to me the nerdiest thing that I'm like. I was never one for D&D, but I have played it a couple of times, and it was not what I thought it was. I thought I can kind of make my own rules with my character and everything. They was like, no, that's not how this works. I'm like, oh.
I remember the first time I saw like a character sheet, because don't they start like it starts off with like a character sheet, right? And you like fill it out. And I was like, what? Like, it's like this, first of all, is blowing my imagination, because I would have never thought that you start a game off by basically customizing the person, but like on a sheet instead of in a game, like on the screen. So that kind of threw me off. So I was like, interesting. And I was like, I feel like this almost feels like a homework assignment, so I'll come back to this. And then I never came back.
Well, to your point, that's what happens. So before there were video games where you can create your avatar on the screen, you had to create your avatar on a piece of paper, and so the character you made, you rolled their scores on dice that they made, and then you picked skills that they have, and you bought armor and weapons from the games, the amount of money that your character starts with, and each class has a different amount of money, to spend, and then you would build a character around that. Nowadays, you go on and you create your Madden team, or you create your avatar for Fortnite or whatever you want to do. It's just the digital version of it. So it's not much different. It was just the analog version, the old guy version of it. They came when Gary Gygax and the TSR crew got together in the 60s and early 70s, and we're like, how do we make this work? We're going to make our own games. So to like Mr. Nobody's comment about his brother at 13 making his own games, that's what these guys did. They just made their own game, and it just happened to be unique, and it caught fire because in many instances it was a strategy game to the next level. Now all of a sudden you were able to play a game, and Napoleon, as opposed to being your general on a board, now all of a sudden you're playing Napoleon, so you could do things different with his same skill set. And so it went from a strategy game to a role-playing game, and they just took the inspiration from Tolkien and, the fantasy world, and said, you know what, we're going to enter into fantasy, and people that like this kind of stuff are going to like to play a different character than they are. And it gives them a chance for a little bit of escapism. And that's where that came from. So yes, the character sheets these days are digital, but you can also do the old school analog, and you don't have to even have dice anymore. They have dice roll generators, and you could play on a screen that controls all that. So you can see, like, the DM, the dungeon master, the person who's controlling the campaign, gets a chance to see everybody's character sheet at the same time. And they can also put, figurines on a virtual board, like a chessboard, showing you where the monsters are, and you could place and move your characters around there too, so everyone sees where you are spatially, as opposed to old school having to do it on a piece of graph paper, or explaining it to someone and hoping that they understand where they are.
And I really do appreciate the visual aspect of D&D, because I have played on my laptop with friends all throughout in different locations, and I definitely appreciate the visual aspect, because I'm like, and that's where I was like, oh, I want to jump off this wall, do a kickflip, and kick him in the face. He's like, no, no, don't do that.
And then the closest I've even gotten, because I've not played D&D, the closest I got was that character sheet. Plus, I played Risk, which is probably not fully the same.
For the listening audience, Joe is just shaking his head in disappointment.
Yeah, Risk is nothing like D&D.
Oh my goodness! Never mind. I thought it was cool.
No.
All right.
So Risk is a board game, and D&D is a tabletop role-playing game, meaning that you're supposed to play it on your tabletop, and you can have maps and things like that, kind of like Risk. But in Risk, it's just a piece on the board. It's a chit. And there's no. You're not role-playing it. You're playing a country, or you're playing a team. And so maybe you used the term adjacent before. You were grant writing adjacent. Risk is D&D adjacent.
It's adjacent.
Yeah.
It like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon different, but we'll let it slide for the sake of the show.
I do have a question. Another question is the word nerd, holds the same weight as it did in the past? Because when I think
changed.
of nerd,
yeah, no, think about it. I mean, like, back in the day, nerd was a bad thing to be called, and now people own it. Now women love nerds because they write code and make a lot of money and live in Silicon Valley and all of that kind of stuff. And so in the past, it was bad. You know what I mean? And it was meant that, here are these people that are, a little bit more intelligent they are, the absent-minded professor, the whatever, and now it's like, you nerds have kind of captured that and said, yeah, it's okay. We're all nerds together. And as a result, it's now become not only socially acceptable, but cool to be a nerd. Nerds are now cool to be. and it's okay to be them. And so I think the stigma of what a nerd was during like the 80s Revenge of the Nerds movies, or the goober looking characters that they would have in these shows and stuff like that. Now all of a sudden people are like, all right, it's not just acceptable, it's now cool. And it's weird how those things happen sometimes, but nerddom and geekdom have come together to defy the odds, and it's now cool to be a nerd.
I will say, and I kind of almost want to add this, I feel like nerd used to be very much like something that was always associated with like guys, but I mean, women have always been like have nerds and been nerdy and stuff too. I just think it's kind of funny because, like, from my perspective, I'm a little goofy, and so I think it came off like what people would think of as like nerdy. So I've even been in situations where like people, like, there will be guys who wouldn't talk to me because they're like, oh, you're like they're like have the popular thing, so like being a nerd wasn't cool, or being like geeky or whatever. And so it was just like, I'm not gonna hang out with that person. Like, you just kind of get shoved in the corner, and you're just like, all right, this is my corner with my other friends.
Yeah, we'll call her when we need our math problem solved, right? Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, it's okay. I mean, Bill Gates, nerd. Elon Musk, nerd. The Facebook people, all nerds. I mean, and now they're conquering the world, right? And it's okay. They might not be able to lift a barbell or run fast or any of the stuff that women might find appealing. But last time I checked, nerds can be both men and women, and the cons I go to are a testament to that. And in fact, there is something new. It's not new, but something that's become popularized over the last 5 or 6 years is a version of fantasy romance. It's called romantasy. Where women aren't reading just romance novels with Fabio on the front cover anymore. They're reading romance novels that are based in fantasy. So their favorite anime guys come to life, and their version of them or others as part of that. And it's strange to think that that's a thing, but yeah, I mean, if you're a nerd and you like romance and fantasy, just put them together. And the last booth I was in with one of the groups I work with at these cons, the pop-up book shop, I would say 6 of the women that I am in the booth with, 6 of them had written fantasy romance, and it's super popular. They sell like hotcakes, and they love it. And it's just nerd romance, just on steroids, and it's a lot of fun for them. And hey, it's not for me, but hey, read my stuff.
I can easily see that, because from what I hear about fanfics, I think that's
fanfic and like Wattpads. Come on, you guys, Wattpads. They were there. The Wattpads like crawled so that these novels could run.
So I can easily see them selling out from just how much I hear people like to do. I'm going to say like do better than the actual author. That's how I'm going to phrase it. Because the first one that comes to mind is Harry Potter. Actually, like I hear a lot of like fanfics about that. Is like how is like this show have been done differently.
Well, fan fiction and fan art and everything, it's its own thing, right? Mm-hmm. It's hard to do that. Like, I have people that have done fan art for me, or they've done I put it on my website because I think it's super cool, right? And these folks deserve that. And it's humbling when someone, like, I'll be there and they'll pay money to come to a show and want to buy a book and meet me to show me something that on their own time they developed based on my writing, right? And they'll show me the characters, and this is what I think Sir Ritter looks like, and this is what I think Princess Adeline looks like, and this is what I think the villain Great Taurus the Mad looks like. And you're like, wow, they're like sketch artists, like police sketch artists. It's really that good sometimes, and they've spent their time and treasure coming to see me, to share that with me. So I always try to honor them by putting it on the website and doing stuff on social media and pumping them up, because it's flattering. It really, truly is. Fan fiction is another level, where they sometimes seek permission to write fan fiction and storylines based on talking to the authors. so that they get it right. But they're so ingrained in it because they love the series or they love the genre or the whatever it is that they do. And so they'll come out and do, and I'm not at the point where people are writing fan fiction or want to write fan fiction for me yet, but the authors that are out there that you see these splinter cells, like Star Wars gets a lot of it, where people are trying to figure that out. Or you mentioned Harry Potter, super popular, where people want to see a different direction than maybe what J.K. Rowling's had taken it. And, they read it when they were kids, and now that they're adults, I mean, like, who among us hasn't said Gryffindor? Or Slytherin, like I'm Slytherin, right? Right. So like, of course, because we grew up and, we had a sorting hat on and, what house were you part of? What, and so Gryffindor was the popular one and Slytherin was the bad kids and, Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff. And but everybody's done that. And so of course, some of them emulate and want to be that. And so it doesn't surprise me. And frankly, if I were an author, I'd be honored to have people wanting to write different parts of the story or wanting to write a backstory about a character because they fell in love with that or they love to hate that character and they wanted to find out what happened and stuff like. I get a lot of that at the shows. It's like, please don't kill this character, or why did this character do this, and stuff like that too. And I think those things are, when someone's asking you those questions, they're really invested in your world, and that makes you feel really good as an author.
No, I'm not a drawer either. I promise you that I'm not a drawer, but I will say it.
Oh my
God! You can see Mr. Nobody having like stick figures, sending them to me afterwards. Yeah. Hey, I listened to your books. I didn't read them, and I'll have to put that on the site too.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
I believe in you and your stick figure art.
Thank you. Give me a sticky pad, and I can make it move.
I'm not sure I know what that means, but okay.
Are you talking about when you make like little book things and you kind of like flip it and then it kind of moves? Oh, I can.
Exactly.
Like from Post-it notes?
Yeah. Like if you put different drawings on each of the Post-its and then you kind of like flip through them and then it almost looks like it's like an animation happening.
Like old school cartoons.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes when your mind is just creative, it just doesn't matter where it happens. It's just like you're going to find some sort of like way to convey or do whatever you want to create. And it's not even going to like matter where it is. You're just going to create it. And like, we're all amazed, but I feel like almost like if you have something where you use it all the time, you know exactly how it works, whatever, I think it's like medium that you want to use. It's like, it doesn't matter. Just create. So I always think that's very cool.
Yeah, I see that a lot in my community where they don't have to be an author to help you out. As long as someone's creative and you ask them, do you like this about my books? Do you like this about the plot? Do you like this about the character? Oftentimes just being around other creative people, they'll give you ideas you would have never thought of because they think like you, and therefore, they throw concepts out and there's stickiness to them. They're like, oh, I got to use that in my next novel, or I got to use that in my, whatever, as the next piece, because it's good stuff. So see, you are an artist after all.
But I do have another question that pops in my mind. Out of all the nerdy things that you can think of, what is one nerdy thing that you either wanted to try but haven't because it was like too nerdy, or something that you was like, I'm going to try this one day? If you can think of anything.
How about one where I thought I did it and will never do it again? Does that count?
That counts.
All right. So it was before, live action role playing was a popular thing. And there's a group called the Society for Creative Anachronisms, or SCA. And the SCA were a bunch of cosplayers that would get together and literally learn how to fight with rattan swords so they didn't hurt anybody and kill anyone. But they would make these swords and armor and shields, and then they would go to battle with one another, and they created rules around their engagements. And they would have a war every year not far from me in Pittsburgh, and it was called the Penzic Wars because it was in Pennsylvania. And there were 7 different basically baronies around the world, and they would all come to this Penzic War in the summer. And when they were there, it was always August. It was always way too hot. and there was zero cover. But they would come and they would just nerd out for a weekend and stay there and bathe in the lake and fight literally hand to hand. And sometimes it was a battle for a bridge. Other times it was a battle in the woods. And then it would end with something called the Pensic War. And everybody would get together and fight, and they would have judges. And if you were hit in a certain way, it would kill you, and you'd have to play dead until they stopped everything. They move all the bodies off the ground so people weren't standing on you like in real life. So you didn't get hurt. But they did it every single year. And I got talked into going to it by one of my friends when we were, still in high school. And I shouldn't say high school. We were maybe first year freshman in school. And I was like, you know what? I'll give it a run. And it was way too nerdy. Like, it was like people were over the top. Like, I walked in and like, I'll never forget, like, we're walking through, and they have all these merchants, like people that are literally making armor and swords and, the costumes. They would make incense, and there was all sorts of illegal and illicit drugs and ridiculous, like people were making mead that was way too powerful. And, we went into this one party, and there was a guy and a girl, and to get in, you had to kiss one, and stuff like that. And they have these campfires, and everybody get high and drunk. And I had a friend who got high and drunk in the wrong thing, and they didn't like him, so they tied him to a tree overnight. And it was just, by day 2, you smell, you're all sweaty, and there's a king and a queen, and the king and the queen, if you're using the 2 outhouses that are there, and they decide they want to go to the bathroom, their guards come over and shake you, and you have to leave, or you have to bow to them as they come in, and then they can go in and take a number 1 or a number 2 and then leave. But you had to bow to them all the time because they were the kings and the queens, and there was royalty and payments and stuff like that, and they had archery competitions and everything that on the surface sounds fun to do until you actually do it. And you're like, I was wearing a black robe, sweating my ass off all weekend long because it was August. Then you put on armor and go fight in August, like 90-degree, just the dumbest things that you could possibly do. That right now, as someone that's a little older, I might be dead if I did them, and everybody there's doing them, right? And they had this feast, and everybody's viva and eating and drinking and carrying on, and then every night they were high and drunk, and that was their vacation, And I got 2 days into it, and I was like, hey, come and get me. I'm coming out. I'm done. I got it a couple of hours. It was fun, and then it got really hippie-ish, like. Woodstock doesn't compare to what goes on there.
Oh my!
I wasn't alive.
Interesting.
I had no idea, but I'm telling you, you asked for the nerdiest, something I wouldn't do. I tried it, and I was like, I dipped a toe in, and I was like, whoa. Like I said, I'm a nerd. I'm not that kind of nerd. So I tried my best, and I respect those people. They're good people. A lot of them read my stuff. You know what I mean? So without them, I wouldn't have fans. So don't be upset, USCA guys. I know you're right here. We're good. I just tried it, and it ain't for me.
Oh, wow.
I find that funny. You said that was the one. That's the thing that you said, because that was going to be my thing that I wanted to try. But hearing it, I'm like, I'll stick to Comic-Con. I will do like a really big dress up. I don't know what character I would be, but I think that's you just convinced me to not do that.
I'm not saying don't. It's just not for me. It could be very much for you. You might go there and love it and have a great time and ascend to be the king one day. You know what I mean? And you could absolutely do it, and you can beat the crap out of someone with a rattan sword. You could do archery where the ball, they have tennis balls on the end, and I'm telling you, it's fun to watch, and it was fun to experience. But I realized that I'm a first level nerd, not a grandmaster.
Maybe do it in the winter though, so it's not as cold or not. Well,
people
warm.
take vacations in the summer. No, in all honesty, it's a really cool place. It's called Cooper's Lake, and you can go there and you just crash, and then you park your cars way out where no one can see them, and you pretend it's you pretend it's like 12:36. The Battle of Hastings was about to happen, and then they would plan the armies, and they would meet, and they had these barbarians called the Tuchuks that, didn't know which side they wanted to be on. So they fought themselves until they just had a winner. And then the winner decided to choose which side, and it unbalanced the war, and like just craziness. But I was young. I was going to give it a run. I would recommend trying it. And like I said, just wasn't my style, but I respect them. And, you know, frankly, I would enjoy watching it, just not necessarily living it. Like if I could walk around like normal guy with my cell phone and be like taking pictures and like, oh, that's really cool, you know, and supporting them, I would do that. But like living in a tent with 9 million other sweaty people, it was just, and you know, just loops and liars and music and goofy. You know, it wasn't a concert. it was, you know, the concert they had was like, there were little bongo drums and a little tambourines. And I'm like, oh my God, this is just, I got to go. You know, so I clocked out.
It might be for a day and a half, maybe.
I made two.
But what about you, Tyler? What would be your nerd event of choice?
Well, I feel like what I would do though is the only main things, and they're like real light, is just I'm gonna cosplay when I go to that con. So that's gonna be really exciting because it'll be the first time I've ever cosplayed before. And then I also want to get like an anime cookbook so I can make the food that you see in the shows. Like a lot of people, and there's like one girl on Instagram, I can't remember her like profile name or anything like that right now, but she'll literally do the exact same like cooking methods as they do in the show, and will show the clip underneath it as she's also cooking it. And then at the end, it'll look just like what was shown in the show. So it's kind of like crazy. So I think it'd be kind of cool just to do some dishes and be like, oh, that's what they ate in like episode whatever. So yeah.
I can live with that.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to invite me over the day you do it. I'll check it out.
We'll plan it out and like pick what episode we want to get the meal from. It'll work out. Sounds cool. Yeah. Look out for our Instagram where I'll post up my food and be like, what episode? What do y'all think this is from?
Something, Joey, that we've also mentioned before. My sense of smell is terrible. So because of that, it's hard for me to taste things. So I just eat anything. So this would be a great.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you're preparing yourself for Tyler's worst, and pretty much you won't be able to taste it. So you'll tell her it's good. Yeah.
That's good. That's all I really needed.
But if I do smell it,
but if you do taste it, it's probably pretty bad. Yeah.
Or really bad. It's one of the two. If I do,
I promise it won't be really bad. That's all I can promise, though. It might be slightly bad. I feel like I can live with that.
This is slightly bad. No one's ever said that to me before. Where's your meal?
The food is slightly bad, but I put an egg on top.
You know, that sounds like something that I've said before.
I mean, have y'all, like, if you really think about it, I feel like we've all made, like, slightly bad. Like, when you make your eggs just slightly too salty and you're like, this is not the best thing I've ever made, but I'm still going to eat it. So, oh, my gosh.
There's so many cooking stories that I can't out nerd Joe. Why is it?
No.
But I might be able to out bad is cooking.
Yeah, I'm a pretty good cook for what it's worth. I like not just the guy I grill kind of thing. I'm actually not a bad cook overall.
That's good. I appreciate that you brought the grill comment in there because I do always think that like is it just the grill in like an Alfredo or like what are you talking here?
Me Joe, me grill today. You know, throw red meat on grill. You know, no, it's not just that. You know, I enjoy cooking
too for the vegans.
That's right.
Oh my gosh. I cannot. Listen, I'm obviously the only one holding it down for the vegans and the slight vegetables that everybody else is grilling, but it's okay.
There's nothing wrong with a grilled vegetable.
That's true. They're pretty tasty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any more questions? I'm out right now.
Nah, man.
No, well, I appreciate you guys having me on the show. This has been a lot of fun. Love to come back. Tyler, if you don't go to DreamCon and you come to GalaxyCon, let me know. I'll hook a sister up. You can come. Well, I'll take care of you. You won't have to pay for a drink all night long. You could come and see Drunk Disney and, and make fun out of me when I have to judge God only knows what I'm going to have to judge.
I will probably
this
make
year.
fun of you.
Like Space Ghost versus Thundar the Barbarian or something like that. I don't know where they're going to go with this. But, if you come as Bob Ross Deadpool, I'll know who you are. I will know who you are.
I'll have to do that.
That would be really funny. All you need is the mask. You already have the afro.
That's true.
You already have the afro.
Yeah, he has like a red-haired afro though, right?
That's true. I'd probably get some dye, but
you'd have to dye that up. Yeah, you'd have to dye that up.
But it's okay. That's
the PJs, right?
The PJs will already have me about halfway there.
See?
Yeah.
Mm.
You guys are giving me good. You're giving me good options.
Look at this.
Trying to hook her up.
Joe, if you want to mention anything else before you sign off and everything.
No, well, look, guys, I appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk to you, your listeners, your viewers, and I really do appreciate that. If you want to check out my novels, jvhilliard.com is the website. You can go to dragonmoonpress.com and buy the books, or you can find them on Amazon or download them on Audible or iTunes or any of the places, the 20 distribution channels that offer, ebooks and paperbacks and things like that. And I do appreciate the opportunity to come on and follow me on my Twitter accounts. I know this is very hard to believe, but they're at JV Hilliard. It's really hard to miss. When you go to at JV Hilliard, you're like, oh, is this the one? Yeah, it's the one with the author. Yes. You can find me there. Look for the books. You'll be good to go. So thank you again for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
thank you.
Close it out with
pleasure.
The
and
thing.
Let me know, Tyler.
I will. I definitely will let you know.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Oh no! Before you go, I got a thing.
Oh, I didn't know you had a thing.
Yeah, I got I got two things. And for my thing, I'm doing a quote. This actually comes from The Matrix. I felt like this goes well with the topics and everything. And I'm actually gonna read it because there's this thing going on that I just can't read, so we're gonna try it. But the quote is, "It doesn't matter if you believe it or not. The only..." Nope, I can't read it. Hold up, I'm blind. Hold up, let me try this again.
It's okay. You're proving me right a little bit. It's fine. Keep going.
But it doesn't matter if you believe it or not. The only thing that matters are the choices you make. That is the quote from The Matrix. And then my little send off is don't forget to ask yourself, ask others, and never stop asking questions. See you. Yeah, no, that's it.
Well played.
Wow, you're still here. Well, if you enjoyed the episode, there are a few different ways to support our podcast. Following us on Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube, or becoming a supporter of our Patreon for $2 or $5 a month, where you'll have access to never-before-released visual episodes, funny bloopers, polls, or you can pose a question. The links can be found in the description wherever you listen. The simplest way to support us is by leaving a review about how great or bad we are, or telling a friend about our show. Anyways, thanks for listening.